At Star Oil, we believe fuel is not just a commodity, it is a lifeline. Every cedi saved at the pump is a cedi that helps a mother send her child to school, a farmer transports food to the market, or a young entrepreneur deliver their first order. Our mission is to make fuel more accessible by offering consistently competitive prices, helping ease the financial burden on Ghanaian households. In a country where transportation costs can consume nearly a third of household income, this is not just business. It's a social responsibility. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
For many years, we've been solving Ghana's water storage problems with quality tanks. Syntex tank. You know, it is strong, it's tough, and reliable. And now, we're in to solve the #1 problem when it comes to water carriage: our pipes. With the state-of-the-art machinery, Syntex is providing very strong, tough, reliable, high quality, and durable pipes at a reasonable price. This is Syntex Pipes. With Syntex Pipes, water flows wow. I mean, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. If they carry water, no wahala. With Syntex Pipe, our water problems are solved. Syntex, are you strong? Are you tough?
Brushing gets more fun with your kids with the new Pepsodent Kids toothpaste. Give your smiles protection that lasts. Grab yours today from a store near you. This advert is FDA approved.
The winning season is back, but this time I am collecting the wins like jollof at a wedding. The luckiest season 3 is here. Your chance to flip your luck or maybe your bank accounts too.
2 easy ways to join. Dial *712#. Hit 1 to buy for you or 2 to gift a friend. Feeling lucky? Pick 1 for a random number or hit 2 to choose your own. Pay with mobile money. Done. You're in.
Or go to the luckiestafrica.com, click community tickets, choose your number, or let the system do so for you. You can buy a ticket for your boo or your favorite barber. Pay with Momo or card if you're abroad.
1 ticket could turn your 1 Ghana cedi into 500 times more. And the whole community could win 10 times over.
Dial *712# or log on.
Let's get lucky together because luck is everywhere.
Every mosquito study run away.
This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Ghana Connect. This week, you saw that video that surfaced online that shook all of us. It shook me so much. I was so angry. And I hope you felt the same anger too if you saw the video. A man violently assaulting a woman we now understand is his wife. It was brutal. It was sickening. And it was a reminder of a reality too many women in this country live with every single day. The man in the video has since been arrested and remanded into custody, and that is welcome news. But we do not have to pretend that this was some swift response or some routine policing, because as we now know, the woman in question had been reporting to the local police station for so long, complaining about this violence that this man was meting out against her. And the local police did not do anything. But the video then went viral because somebody recorded it and the police had to take action. And now the man is in there. But we know so many women all over the place enduring such an abuse. Here's a little bit of what you missed if you haven't seen the video so far.
For you. Charlie, this man has to be arrested for you every day.
Blood just me Ghana card. Blood was me Ghana card. Me cast a mungun and the master no grand American. Mental dear. If you mean me, my number to see me nefro a brand on the medical police station club on Gary. Everybody man I see.
I mean, everyone who sees our sister will have tears in the eyes. I mean, you tear up. But we thank God for her life. We are getting her to safety, and then the children as well. And so once they are safe, we'll look at the next step forward. But by all means, it's our collective responsibility to protect life. And so we'll ensure that she's okay.
So that was the victim in this very dastardly act. She was the first in the tape talking about her experiences, how she was going to the police station, and they were doing nothing about it. She had to come back home to endure the abuse and then go back. It's such a spectacle. And we've also heard from Madam Angela Jamna Boaje, who will be joining us on this show talking about what they are doing to help the victim. But it's a bigger conversation. I mean, this is the person that has brought the spotlight onto this matter again. But we know rather too painfully that so many people, so many poor women are enduring this cycle of abuse daily. And so excited to introduce to you some really brilliant minds who are connecting with us on this matter. Dr. Riafia Kintin is Vice Dean of the University of Ghana Student Affairs, Vice Dean, University of Ghana Student Affairs, and then he's also a social psychologist. Dr. Riafia Kintin, it's good to have you connect with us. Well, it appears I don't have Doc yet. I will connect with him pretty shortly. But Dr. Angela Dramina Boaje is also a lawyer with the ACT Foundation, and they've been providing shelter for victims of domestic violence. Dr. Angela Dramina Boaje, it's good to have you connect with us.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Brilliant. Dr. Riafia Kintin is also back with us. Doc, it's good to have you connect with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Pretty shortly, we'll be joined by Kobe Che. He's a social development and humanitarian advocate and blogger. Dr. Aboaje, let me start with you. This was so heart-wrenching. I mean, looking at the video and the fact that the victim talks about going to the police station every now and then. And, I mean, how bad is the situation down there that they had to get to somebody recording this, the video going viral, before she got help? That means so many women who have not gotten their viral moments yet are having to endure this.
Well, it's not too surprising in terms of what has happened. I'm not saying that it's always that institutional response is bad. If you meet a sensitized, trained officer, they are likely to do their work well because we already have SOPs and policies, the law is in place, the regulations are in place, and if an officer is well trained and they get to know this, they know pretty much what to do. But if they are not, then it means that there's a big problem on our hands. But we should also know that violence against women, others would say gender-based violence and so on, because sometimes it may also happen to men and boys, is a very underreported crime already, and it's a global problem as well. It's just that some people are doing better than us in terms of responding. I mean, if you read the news, you might see that in South Africa, there's a whole campaign going on because of the levels of femicide, killings of women in South Africa, for example. And so there are whole lots of campaigns, particularly led by women over there. In Ghana, we don't have it as high as South Africa, but I can tell you that almost every year since I've been doing this work, there is a cycle of femicide. So somebody kills their partner or their wife, and then like every month, you would hear another killing. Sometimes I'll count up to 10, before it stops, and then another cycle begins. Occasionally, you will find a man who has been killed, or two have been harmed, and so on. But beyond the killings are actually the acts of violence that don't end up in homicide or femicide, but are rampant. Count every 3 adult women, they have faced some form of physical violence in an intimate relationship, whether it's through cohabitation or marriage. And that's a very high number that we're facing. 14% is said of men and boys in the country, and that's also unacceptable. So whichever way you look at it, it's bad, and our response is not too much up to scratch.
So I'm coming to Dr. Refakinti, and please, if you're listening to us, you have some story to share, please send us a message, 055-1111-997, WhatsApp 055-1111-997. If you even want, we can call you back and listen to your story. Dr. Refakinti, what is going on? I mean, psychologically, I can't imagine putting myself in this victim's shoes and so many others that are enduring these abuses.
All right. Thank you very much. Good evening to Dr. Namnambuaji and your listener. I know she has been doing this for a very long time. So she has both the theoretical and the practical and all that we need to. But to ask your question, what is going on? What is going on is all in our mind, perception, the beliefs, and to sum up in our culture. So let me begin with some aspect. Gradually all these are waning, but we still have people holding on to them. One is the fact that some traditionally, the perception or the belief is that men are the disciplinary ones in their homes. So for within the family is the children and even the wife and nieces, nephews, and all that. So as we socialize this way, when you grow up, there's a tendency for you to think that that is the only way. And that discipline, in most cases, people will use physical, verbal, or others. So that is one. The other angle is for those who are not able to control their anger. Anger is part of human nature. It serves certain positive purpose. It's mostly they are negative. So when people are angry, and the anger depends on what is not necessarily what is said, but the interpretation put on what is said. If you say something and I interpret it that you deliberately want to hurt me, you want to look down on me, you are disrespecting me, you are doing this, then there's a tendency that that man who cannot control his anger will pounce on you, although that is not the only thing to do. So anger management is one important thing. Then as Doc said earlier, do we have high level of institutions and personnel to deal with this for us? Even what is the reporting channel? And in our cultural setup, until recently, and I'm sure it's still some aspect will be lingering, it happened to a woman, it happened to a child, and the family or the extended family would like to keep it within. They say, these are dirty family living, don't wash them outside. Or let's talk about them here, because when you expose it, And unfortunately, there have been instances where people go to police station and all that. They said this is family matters. And that's why she emphasized the issue of the personnel who is dealing with it. There have been instances I've also witnessed where the man was sentenced for having abused, battery, the wife. And the wife instantly got up and said, speaking to the judge, if you let him go, he's the breadwinner. So somehow, whereas we say it's wrong, it gets to a point where it has been internalized by society, by individuals, that it is accepted because of what I've said. Leaves that somebody is a man, is a disciplinarian, and that if he leaves, the family is going to suffer. The other angle is, again, Doc has been doing a lot on that. Shelter. How many do we have? Institutional, national. So that if the wife and the children leave home, where are they going? The mother or the father, sometimes go back to some family, they will tell you, please go back. And your mother may even tell you that in our time, if we have done this, we wouldn't have given birth to this number of children. So we have a lot. The other angle is also the issue of dufiasm. It's not your matter. It's individual. It's between couples. So some people see it, they will never report. Because they think that if the person, the victim herself, is not reporting, why should they be the third person to do so? So this will be my initial.
Yeah.
So it's cultural, it's perception, it's attitude, and it's about institutions to deal with it, education, sensitization is going on. By how deep?
Yeah.
Those who get trouble, as the state take care of them.
Dr. Jamnaboji, clearly from the Dr. Kintin's laying out of the issue, this is really multifaceted. But one of the things that he talked about that really touches the core of this issue, the shelter issue. And that is what you and ACT Foundation, you continue to do. Because then there are so many who just have to endure these abuses, sometimes even leading to their death, like you've talked about, because they just have nowhere to go. They have to go to their families. Their families are asking them to go back and endure this violence. It is almost like the entire society has turned a blind eye to the violence that has been endured by women and children in these marriages and relationships.
Yes, I mean, yes, it looks like that, okay? For a very long time, this kind of violence has been normalized. Sometimes it's described as discipline. Sometimes it's described as they were fighting, But if we begin to understand the dynamics of this kind of violence and the fact that the real root causes are, the nature of human beings and our tendency to use power wrongly. So if you've been given a certain type of power, especially cultural power, which lots of husbands have, okay, because they are taught that they are the leaders of the home and so on, that wouldn't by itself have been a problem. The problem is, what does the leader think he has, that he can exert a certain kind of authority over the person that he is with, okay, to an extent that even the law, if the law comes in, he still thinks it's offensive. I've been in a police station some time ago where a man was brought in for caning his pregnant wife. Okay, he had caned her so badly, the marks and the welts were all over her body, and the police were questioning him, and he was telling them, "How dare you? I married her. Where were you when I married her?" And they said, "But even if you married her, you don't have that kind of control over her to do this to her." And she said, "I was disciplining her because I want my security cooked a certain way. And I have told her several times to cook it that way, and she's unable to do it. So I must discipline her for her to know that she cannot continue to do that." So this is his thinking, and it took the police a while for them to even convince him that what he was doing is criminal. And even if you are the head of your home, you do not have that kind of authority or that kind of nerve, let me put it that way, to treat another human being that way. So the culture is very strong, and the normalization of this kind of violence has made it so difficult to work with. that it seeps into all our institutions. Look, I tell you, in the next 5 days, everybody who have discussed this, they will go back to sleep, and then it's left to still a few people and concerned. Thank God the gender minister, for example, is very, very concerned about this. But I'm hoping that this is the time where we actually test our good laws. Our laws are good. The policies we have, there are numerous. I know because I've been part of the drafting of some of these policies, the laws, the regulations, and all of that. We cross all our T's, we dot all our I's, and we must remember that it is the state's responsibility, number one, not an NGO, not a chief, not whoever. All of us complement what the state is supposed to do. And the state has the responsibility to strengthen the family and protect the family. It's in our constitution. So there's a need to actually look at policies that focus on family protection and focus on how to protect individuals who are falling out of the cracks in our families through violence, poverty, and things like this. And to be more serious about, getting the community involved, because see what this lady did. If she hadn't videoed it, okay, and for good purpose, we do have a cybersecurity act, so if you are videoing some of these things, you need to be careful. But if you are videoing it for good purposes like this one, then it's okay. If we don't get the community involved, that's how people fall out of the cracks. And this is our human resource, and we need to understand that if we are spending over $119 million every year in the public health costs and so on of this kind of violence, it's a very serious matter. And that's what we haven't had. The state holds it a bit, leaves it a bit, and today small capacity training here, the rest is left. Sensitization is not going on. Sometimes you just get so frustrated, you don't know what to do. But we still have to keep going.
I mean, we've been joined also by Nana Kakari. Nana Kakari, you've seen the videos, you've seen the commentary that have come out of it. I mean, of course, this is not an entirely Ghanaian problem, even in Western societies, and you live in the US now. It's there. We see some of that. But to think that in 2025, such a thing is still ongoing, it's really shocking, is it not? Hello, Nana Kakari, can you unmute?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was saying you made a great point, because this is just not a Ghanaian problem. It's a worldwide issue. Right now in South Africa, there's protests going on at the G20 summit, where women are peacefully protesting to end, gender-based violence. And the president of South Africa just yesterday actually declared this kind of violence a national disaster, national crisis. So that tells you how serious some of these countries take this violence seriously. Well, you know what? There are so many issues I saw with this video. I'm going to start with the little children. The woman did say that these abuse, some of them were done to her in front of her kids. I think one is as young as 5 or 7 years old. That's a problem. I think we're focusing so much on the woman, but can you imagine the devastation, these kind of things that the kids are witnessing will go through? They definitely need some form of therapy. And also with the mother going in and out, because according to the woman, it happens all the time, where she actually left home to go back to her village, left these 2 little kids with the father. Who knows what else they were witnessing, these kids were witnessing. So that's really a sad situation. Now, when it comes to law enforcement, this lady, according to her, has reported this incident at least twice to the police, and nothing was done. The latest, she did take evidence with her to the police. Again, there was nothing done. I think the police, the station that she went to report, that station needs to be investigated. Why they will listen, why they will review the evidence that the victim brought to the station and still said, you know what, this is just a marital issue. It's not a marital issue. If you have seen the bruises, if you have seen the witnesses, the evidence, the clothes or whatever she has, and they never followed up with it, that's the problem with the law enforcement. That's the problem with whatever vicinity police station that she went and reported the issue with. Now we've been talking about the culture. You know what? I think it has been happening for a long time. But in this case, because of social media and because of digital, the devices that we do have, people are quickly to, just take the videos and take pictures. Reason why this came to the public's notice. Here in the United States, in the subway, in shops, in grocery stores, we have something that you always hear. When you see something, say something. It's just a voice recorded that is played on public transportation everywhere, constantly reminding you, if you see something that is not right, you think, you just have the instinct that is not right, you have to say something. That's different. That isn't what goes on in Ghana. In Ghana, it's mostly like, let me mind my business. And those who wouldn't mind the business, why the video came to social media and now go to the police. Again, I think there's lost in trust when it comes to the law enforcement. And this isn't going to help in any way, shape, or form. And that's why this kind of abuse is intensifying as the time goes.
Yeah. And Dr. Yafiakintin, the point that has been made about this victim going to the police on a number of occasions, going there, the police turning her away when deal with this matter, you just know that it is such a big thing going on in all the other places. It is not just even limited to the victim that we are talking about. I mean, that the police will not deal with this matter that is quelling their domain and ask this person to go and endure more abuses was shocking.
Which is wrong. And that's why we need to hear from the police.
Yeah.
We need to know why, at what point, why, what was their decision based on? Well, did they conduct any investigation when the woman came to report? Clearly, it seems like they just brush it off because, again, according to the woman, they said this is just a marital issue. This is a problem.
Yeah.
The police need to be investigated. Whoever made that final decision to brush this report off should be investigated. The police need to hold a press conference and tell us why they reached that decision, because this is unacceptable. It's almost like you go to the police reporting abuse and say, you know what, go away. Like you said, Kwaku, go away and go endure more. This could have ended. I mean, thankfully, she did not die. But how long and how many times should this lady endure? And I'm sure there are many women, and I'm sure there are many cases just like that. We are lucky to just be in preview to this one case. And that's why we need to take it seriously and also look at all aspects of this issue. The law enforcement, the children involved who are witnessing this brutal abuse, the man, of course, thankfully, he has now been arrested. But again, we need to know so we can stop it immediately. And maybe set an example from this case to other, men and also women, because I'm sure there are also women who abuse men. We usually focus on men abusing women, but there are also women who also abuse men, except that men kind of just take it in. Again, that goes back to the culture and tradition that I'm a man, I cannot, or even be ashamed to come out and say, oh, I was beat down by my wife. No man really want to do that.
Yeah. So, Nanaka, please hold it there for me. Let me hear from Dr. Yafiakintin also on this matter. Doc.
Yes, very interesting angles. And going back to the police issue, my thinking is that, we have doctors which mostly dedicate to issues of this nature. My thinking is that probably they don't have sufficient trained personnel, and it's probably not likely that every police station have personnel there. So there's the need for that to be strengthened. That even if there's no DOSU person there, all of them should have general orientation. As long as it's reported, as long as it's a crime, it must be immediately be given attention. Because these are human rights. These are individuals. Looking at the trauma they go through, not only the mother, not only the children, and there's a tendency for the children, especially the males, to even think that that is the best way to resolve issue. And if we are not careful, they may grow up and perpetuate it. And if there's a girl, they may also see it in a way that may even prevent them from having very useful relationship with a male in the future. But when we're still on this, I think the immediate thing we need to do, beside the legal angle, is the psychological and emotional support for the children and the woman, or all women who have suffered that. The man who is also now being investigated and probably going to be prosecuted also needs support. Elsewhere, when you violate such laws or regulations, whether it's driving or this nature, you go through certain orientation, a day, 2, 3, depending on the magnitude. And there are instances it may even be video recorded or audio, then you go and sit behind. You do each of them. You can't skip. It's when you are done that you get a certificate or something. So we really need to take this thing very seriously, because we are, as one of the colleagues said, 20th century 2025, and we still on a regular basis report issues of this nature. It's not encouraging at all.
I mean, Dr. Jamnaboje, Dr. Wefekinti makes a good point about the police themselves, the education, their sensitization. But obviously, this should even strike you as the police officer as assault and battery. I mean, if somebody came to you and said they've been beaten and you had no idea about DOVSU and you've no idea about domestic violence, someone has been beaten and there's a criminal offense over there. Definitely, this is your line of work. You've heard from so many victims and all of that, and it's clear that this is very perverse in society. How do we deal with this part of the angle where people can get confident, go to the police, and they just tell them to go back and get beaten more?
Okay, so maybe I need to go back a bit. We were facing these challenges with institutional response, particularly the police, the general police. That is why there was advocacy by lots of women's rights organizations and so on to have a specialized police unit. But that specialized police unit was not to take over the general policing of this area. Okay? So the law that we have, the Domestic Violence Act of 2007, Act 732, spells it out in such a way that you can report at any police station, not just at a DOVSU, okay, and whether there's a DOVSU officer there or not, they should be able to respond. And by the way, they have curriculum at the police training that incorporates issues around gender-based violence and so on. But for the longest time, we've been saying it should become an examinable subject. I don't know whether it is now an examinable subject. But you don't only need that kind of training at that level, you also need to be retrained. And those that are posted into the DOVSUs need even further training, because any police should be able to start at their level and intervene. And where a DOVSU is available, be able to refer to a DOVSU, because it is a specialized unit that is supposed to also provide victim support. And that is not just done by the police. It is their ability to network with other community services, the hospitals, the psychologists, the NGOs that run shelters and counseling services. That ability is what makes a difference to a survivor. That a survivor is able to enter into a particular place, whether they come through my office or a DOVSU office or to a hospital or to a psychologist, and once they want the services, okay, they are able to go through a particular system that ensures that whether it's the courts, the police, the social services that are supposed to take care of the children, they will act in their favor. All of this is spelled out in the laws and the policies around the law. So much so that you know, when I close my eyes, even in sleep, and you wake me up, I can tell you what is supposed to be done. But enforcement, backed by cultural reinforcement, that this is not a serious matter, you know, and sometimes the women come and waste our time. If you are a skilled police officer and even a woman comes begging, assuming the victim is a woman, and comes begging that please don't charge my husband, you should know why a woman would do that. It comes with part of the socialization. They don't want their marriage to break down. They just want the violence to stop. So you don't come back and blame the woman that it's even the women who are saying that we should leave them, and so what are we expected to do? Things like that, which is what sometimes we hear. And that is why the training is important. The building of the sensitivity is important. But that's just one leg of it, the police side. So I would say they don't have an excuse not to respond well because it's already in their curriculum. But it depends on who you will meet. That is an important part. The other part has to do with the other services. Like Doc said, or Prof said, the person needs healing. The children need to be taken care of. Again, all of these things are spelled out in our law. The Children's Act says when it comes to abuse of children or children who have are witnessing such violence, it is the social welfare that has the mandate to take care of the children. Sometimes they have to withdraw them and then go to court for an order, a supervisory order or a care order, and do what they know is in the best interest of the child. Okay? So the children have been taken care of in the law, but who will make sure it is properly enforced? I am happy that the gender minister, for example, has an active interest in this. Personally, because she's come from, this background, so she understands the multifaceted nature of this case. And so my encouragement to her is to keep monitoring the case. But we should use it as a test case because, as my colleague on the other side was saying, there are several. Hey, this attitude, if I say I don't know, it's meboa. It is ingrained where they will tell you, this is just a marital issue. Violence of this nature is not a marital conflict. Every marriage has its conflict. In violence like this, one person is the dominator. They control who you see, where you go. They can control you by physical violence, sexual violence, and a lot of verbal and economic violence. It is not the same as just a conflict. That is just an excuse. So if the victim support part doesn't come in, by being able to assemble the services that will help her with the therapy part, that will help her with even the economic empowerment part, where she will live, shelter services, legal protection under the law to even restrain this man, assuming he's on bail and wants to do something to this woman, there must be a protection order that the police should be able to take. But regularly, most of the police won't even bother to do that. So it's the enforcement backed by the cultural reinforcement of the way we think about these issues. That is really at the core of this issue. But I think that if the state is serious to ensure that the Domestic Violence Secretariat and its management board, which is seated in the Gender Ministry, is given the capacity to monitor what is going on at different levels, it will be helpful. I say this because there are many institutions, even though they are not enough, but there are many institutions that can do some response. SHRAD, all the SHRAD offices in the district are able to respond, or they should be able to. All the social welfare offices should be able to respond to some extent. All the hospitals and so on. Only if the capacity is built and they are organized in a coordinated manner, which is how some jurisdictions do. And sometimes even the Attorney General is the head of the coordinated system to make sure it is working at different levels. So for us, our frustration stems from the fact that we live in a country of laws. I'm telling you, there isn't one part of the law that is not fastened for a case like this. But our biggest problem is the impunity that people have because they know, hey, what the make her cry? Yeah, because I work in this sector, I know. Or say, say, yeah, and invariably, it happens to be right.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Efekington, I think the big question before I come back to Nanaga Karis, this is 2025. One would think that society will progress. What is it? Is it with education? Is it with the way we socialize that people just can't get to the point where they know that you just can't beat someone up because they are your wife? Is it in the education? Is it in the socialization? And I like the point you made earlier on. I mean, about some of these kids that have to witness this. And so if you're a kid and you're a male and you see your mother being beaten every day, perhaps if you don't internalize this properly, You think, well, that is the right way to deal with this.
Yeah.
And then you grow up, you become like that. So, Dr. Ifekete, is it in education? Is it in socialization that this doesn't really seem to ever go away?
All right. It's complicated, but not hopeless. Complicated, but not hopeless. So, tradition die hard. Whatever we have socialized, and mostly what you are socialized, you tend to live with people of like mind. So no matter what comes up, sometimes that attitude tends to live with you. And I link that with anger management. And the other one is that already been said in terms of punishment. We live in a society where the third party thing, what in Twi they call jantua, is very high. So somebody does something. Instead of the law taking its course, he goes to plead with a politician, with a chief, with an influential person or someone, and it is harsh. I'm not saying that for certain issues, these are not important, but for people who take delight in abusing others, that should not be the case. So as we move on, there are several things we have to do as a state. The educational aspect, which has been said, is very important. Sensitization. And there are few things we've done in Ghana where the sensitization went all the way to about close to 100%. Sometime when the 4 zeros were knocked from the CD, if you ask anybody from about 6 years up, they got to know. Why? Because it was done different medium. The traditional medium, existing one, that is new media, and through drama, others in different languages, morning, mid-morning, afternoon, evening, all the way. We did the same thing with Pastor Menaye, wash your hands. It's also one of the things that went during COVID. We have so that is the seriousness we need to attach to this. Then we also probably need channels of communication. Apart from going physically to the police station, instantly, what can be done? Are there some hotlines so that even with that, the police can immediately move on
to be publicized
and help? The shelter issue has been raised also comes out. And not, as we said, the one that Boaji Jamina and the rest are trying. The state ones are key. As of now, we should have every region, every district, and even down. Because the issue has come up is that as I live, as a woman, where do I go? Do I leave my kid with the abuser? And if I leave here, where do I go? If I'm not gainfully employed, where do I go? So that empowerment aspect, she said, is also very, very important. Then, we need in the country where churches and mosques play a very important role. Can we also ask our reverend fathers, our pastors, imams, to help us to preach this at least a minute or two a day during church.
If they know how to do it.
Yes, because they listen to them. I'm sure you know that. Then there were other ones she also said as part of their training in terms of that will be, and if it's examinable, that will be better because it will be taken more serious. So I will leave this one here for my other colleague also. But the key thing that comes is what is hammered, the power play. I'm the man, culturally, economically, and all that. And you might have, if you read a little, realize that it does not happen to certain group of women, either in terms of education or economic empowerment. Those who can cater for themselves can easily live, and they know what to do. The center becomes those, where do I go from here? So that is
but Prof, if I may come in just on that point, it's an interesting point because that's what people think. Actually, it happens to all, when it comes to women, it happens to all kinds of women, whether they are economically empowered, even though it gives them more options. This thing about, social embarrassment can be so high that elite women, educated women, even economically educated, empowered women, sometimes still continue to stay for several different reasons, okay, because of what society thinks and the pressure that is brought on them and so on. They may have options, but they barely exercise it because, Prof, women come to marry. They don't want to leave. They want the violence to stop. Okay, so it happens across board. And in our working experience, actually, the less educated women are more empowered about taking action than the more educated women on this issue. It's a surprising thing, but that is the reality of our existence.
Interesting, eh? Yeah.
Across board. Yeah. Another thing I want to mention is jurisdictional issues. The Domestic Violence Act knows that sometimes a woman or a victim has to run for their life. And so you can report this case anywhere, and it must be taken up. You must be accompanied by a police officer to a hospital where, you are giving the medical form by the police to the hospital. And there's also this policy issue that when you are even getting examined, the doctors are also going to take their fee. Lots of victims stop at that point because the doctors will charge. And yes, they have a legal basis for charging, but it has become a policy issue for the longest while in this country because we are asking the government, bring it under NHIS or let the Domestic Violence Fund be funded so it can take up some of these things, and it's still stuck. Most victims leave their issues at that point. They won't even go back, even if the police is willing to continue. Yep. So that's also an issue. These days, they'll tell you because of jurisdiction, go back to the same place where you reported. The law doesn't say that. And I challenge any police officer to tell me that the law says that, unless you report at the place where the thing happened and you have to, come under the cover of a jurisdiction, then that's how we take up your case. Because of that, a lot more institutional impunity is also happening. And I think these are things that we need to take up at policy level to bring about change, apart from all the other things you said.
That is fascinating because if a poor woman has to go to the hospital to get treated because they've been violently assaulted by their husband, somebody they're in a relationship with, and they have to bring the money to do that expensively, they're going to leave. And Kari, I wonder what you make of that also in terms of where we go from here, particularly education and the things that we have to do. But how do we end this? I mean, if we are not even ending it, how do we bring it to the barest minimum?
You know what? I don't think it's going to be an easy job to end this kind of things because just a few months ago, we saw a similar situation play out here in the United States. We saw it with Sean P. Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura, where video came out, we saw Cassie on the ground being kicked on the ground by P. Diddy in a hotel. Again, after that incident, Cassie went back to P. Diddy, right? Now, when I saw this video with this Lamte and the wife, I wonder, you know what? If Lamte comes out of jail, will this woman go back again to him? Now, the question is, why do women always, these domestic abuse victims, always go back to the men, or men who have been abused always go back to these women? That's something that I do not understand, but I think it comes down to the mindset. They get used to it. It becomes normal to them. They feel like this is how issue goes. I will endure it, no matter how painful it is. Again, like I said, there's so many high-profile legal cases on domestic violence. And again, we'll just play it out earlier this year. Actually, just this summer with P. Diddy Combs and Cassie, we saw videos. And what we are seeing right now in Ghana with the Lamte and the wife, we're seeing videos. You know what? I just don't know. I think that maybe we need more women representation in these, law enforcement institutions. Because, when a woman, first of all, I don't even know why the woman will have to go all the way to the police station and doesn't have just one phone call, should be able to, get the situation mitigated. That should be something that we should look into, where you can just press a button or just call a 911 number where the police will know that there's something serious happening to whoever makes the call. And as far as, like I mentioned, the women representation, I think that, there's something about you talking to your fellow gender, saying that this is what's happening. If there are more women representation in the police, more women representation in the court system, I think that may also help these victims feel comfortable going to the police station, because there are people that probably, again, in this lady's situation, probably met a man, a police, who doesn't understand. That policeman probably is also beating his wife at home, or probably beat the wife at home before even starting his shift. Who knows? So to him, it's probably a normal, and like the lady said, according to her, they said that it's a marital issue. Go home. In other words, go home and get beat down more, which isn't right. So, you know what? I think we have a long way to go. Again, like you mentioned, Kwaku, at the beginning of the segment, it's not just a Ghana issue. It's playing out as we speak in South Africa with the women peacefully protesting at the G20 women's shutdown going on right now. It's happening here in the United States. It's happening all over Asia, Middle East, all over the world. I think that we need, society or community need to pay attention to that. In terms of Ghanaians, we should stop that. It's tradition and it's culture. It has that just don't make any sense to me. You get beat down, you have to go to this. It's not acceptable. I don't think any man or woman should allow anybody to touch them. Heck, I want to go to the police when I see a mosquito touch my hand, let alone for a human being, a man touch me. It's not going to happen. So again, I think one of the speakers said it depends of there are women that do not. You never know. I think that is the mindset. We need to program our minds that it's not okay. You don't have to touch me. It's not okay to be touched in any way, shape, or form, let alone to be beat down. And the police, I will again say that the police needs to be held responsible for just telling the lady, go back. Why would you tell a lady to go back without even investigating? Did you go to the house? Did you see how the house was? Did you follow up to see, even if the children were doing okay? And I'm glad the guy is in jail. I hope he stays in jail, but I'm more concerned about the children. I want to know if the children are okay. The children needs to be taken away from the man, from that environment, as a matter of fact. And hopefully something will be done and, make things better.
Thank you very much, Nana Kakara. As always, very insightful contribution when it comes to this matter. Thank you very much for joining us. Nana Kakara is a Ghanaian. She's based in the United States of America. Dr. Yafi Akinte, very, very insightful and knowledgeable presentation you've made to us this evening. He's the Vice Dean, University of Ghana Student Affairs Department, and also a social psychologist. And as always, Dr. Angela Dramina-Boachi, private legal practitioner. She's with ACT Foundation. She founded it. It provides shelter for victims of domestic violence. Thank you very much for sharing your time, your 1 hour with us this evening, and for educating all of us. Some messages coming in before we hand it over to Andy Dusty. This one, David Inakachi says, the higher authority must deal with the police officers who vehemently refuse to come to the aid of this woman anytime she made a report. Why should the police at Ofankor behave this way? They must be brought to book immediately. If they can't protect lives, they must resign or get sacked. This one says, good evening. The reality about the man beating his wife is that when a person is looking after you financially, you are literally at their mercy. They see you as someone with no brain, no heart, and no feelings. You're just an object to them to throw whenever they like. And in this case, family make it look normal. I guess you didn't add your name to this. Thank you very much. This one said, the elders of this man must be punished for doing nothing about the issue. If they knew about it, will they say they were not aware of this barbaric situation? And also the woman's family must come for the children because this man, he used some very strong words, they didn't marry their daughter. The kids must not be left in the hands of this man. And then Manfred in Accra, this last one says, thinking about the abuse of women, I think we should deal with protecting our children first. When we educate both women and men to avoid violence against children, this will be very important in solving the problem. Thank you very much, all of you, for doing the listening. Andy Dusty is up next. As always, tomorrow, News File will have a lot of the very important conversations for you. You don't have to miss. It is the best weekend show. You don't have to miss all of that. My name is Kwaku Asante. I'll see you same time again tomorrow. Next week, the library with Andy Dusty is up next. When it comes to the library on Friday evenings like this, you don't have to miss it.